Gems and links are such a fundamental part of Path of Exile that you have to understand them. By the end of this, you should do. Gems are how your character gets their abilities. These are socketed in a corresponding colour socket in your gear and have stats requirements to be used. A green gem, in this case Ice Shot, will fit into your green socket here, and now I can fire a single arrow. Gems come in two flavours, active and support gems. Active skill gems give you the actual abilities, while support gems buff the active gems, or instead they could change them in some way. Sockets come in four colours, red, blue and green, and much later in the game, or early if you're really lucky, white. White sockets will house a gem of any colour. If we take the added cold support gem, this adds cold damage to my attacks, making it do substantially more damage. If I hover over some support gems in my inventory, then this little control comes up to indicate which of the active gems I have socketed will be supported by the gem in question. You can also somewhat work this out by matching the keywords from the top of each gem card. For support gems to work, they must be socketed in the same piece of gear as the active gem, and be linked by one of these bars. If it isn't linked, it will do nothing. Well, except continue to gain XP. It should also be noted that gems in your offhand weapons will also continue to gain XP, so do use this to your advantage as you level. Now for some examples of other gems that will mutate this skill, almost changing fundamentally how it reacts. The Nova support causes my arrows to fire up into the air, and when it lands it spreads out to the surrounding targets. Greater multiple projectiles, otherwise known as GMP, will increase the number of arrows, and volley will do the same, but the arrows will come out in parallel to the original. We can also combine these together to do crazy things like this. Gems sometimes have a drawback as well as a buff. For instance, GMP reduces the damage of the original skill whilst giving it the extra projectiles. Different pieces of gear have differing number of maximum sockets. Most gear has a maximum of 4 except for body armour and items that go in weapon slots. Body armour as well as two-handed weapons can have up to 6 linked sockets, whereas one-handed weapons and shields can only have 3. This maximum does take a while to achieve and is based on the level of the item. Lower level items will have fewer maximum slots. So how do you get gear with the right sockets and links? Initially these will come from vendors in towns or from items that drop. If your vendor doesn't have what you're looking for, then check back later as the vendor will get some new items each time you level. In previous leagues this used to be a complete refresh, but as of 3.21, items will persist between levels, with only the oldest items being swapped out. If you're lucky enough to drop an Orb of Binding early, this will allow you to take a normal item and turn it into a rare, as well as giving it 4 linked sockets. It will retain the colours already on the original gear, and just add missing ones coloured randomly. Do not use these on an item that is 5 or 6 linked, or you may cry. Later in the game, you'll start to have amassed enough currency to be able to craft the sockets, links and colours on your gear to make the gear the most optimal for your build. The Jeweler's Orb will reroll the number of sockets randomly, the Orb of Fusing will add random links, and the Chromatic Orb will reroll the colours. There are vendor recipes for both the Chromatic Orb and the Jeweler's Orb. For a Chromatic Orb, get any item that is red, green and blue linked. For the Jeweler's Orb, find any 6 socket item not linked and sell it to a vendor. There are also currency vendors in Act 4 and Act 9 that will allow you to train Jeweler's Orbs for the other 2. It should be noted that there are ways of influencing the results of these orbs, which is outside the scope of this video. I'll link some guides to how to do this in the description. Later in the game you can also drop powerful items that will have active and support gems built in. These are called pseudo links, and any gems socketed in the item will be affected by or will affect them as if they were linked to them. The video now showing top left will give you another great lesson, how to get your first ascendancy. You've been watching Altec 2K Gaming, and with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.